Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Comic Shop Talk on the Late Night Chat Network, your first stop for pop culture talk. I'm your host, Niko, and joining with me today, as always, my co-host, Chris. How's it going?
Not too bad. How are you doing there?
I'm good. Having trouble talking here almost at the start of this one. This is Comic Shop Talk, episode 202. And once again, another week of comics here to talk about. Make sure to like and subscribe to the channel. Check out some of our other episodes and comic book content and all kinds of other stuff that we put out here on the Late Night Chat Network. And today we're going to be talking about the new comics that came out for the week of October 22nd, 2025. And if you missed it, we also just dropped, well, by the time this comes out, the next day, there'll be a video coming out for the comic book solicitations for the new year for January 2026. So make sure to check that out, too, if you guys are interested to hear about the new books that are going to be coming out from the publishers that we're interested in checking out. That's our monthly video that me and Chris do outside of Comic Shop Talk, where we kind of show off the solicits and talk about them and just like comics in general. So it's, you get some conversation on that show you normally wouldn't do, like on this show, just because like that's us talking about, comic book news and new release stuff and things like, we're here. We got to focus on the week's books. Right. So sometimes you get some comic book news over here as well. Right. But that is another good show to check out if you guys haven't checked that one out. As always, spoiler warning, though. We are going to be talking about what happened in the books here this week and showing off the art. So if you're worried about getting spoiled, you can read your books and then come back and check us out later. I'm very exhausted now from 18 innings of a baseball game the night before and not much sleep. Here we are. I think the last time we recorded this show, we were like, let's see if we can make it into the World Series. And here we are in the World Series, the Jays. And it's been interesting so far, Chris. Like by this time next week, we could be World Series winners here. I don't know. We'll see what happens. It's a big game here tonight. So go Jays, go.
That's a big game. Go Jays, go. All right. Well, enough about baseball. Let's talk comics.
Cheers.
Cheers.
All right. First up on the docket here today, we got the X books here. X-Men Book of Revelation #1, which is, I guess, the other Jed MacKay miniseries that he's writing during this whole event here, or whatever you want to call it. What'd you think of this, Chris?
I thought it was okay. I think it just followed the life of what do they call them? Choristers, or what are they like? I guess they've run out of names for acolytes and all those sort of minion type characters. And he's got his choristers, and I guess there's a new one there, some little girl. And I guess they're training her to be a chorister. I don't know what her power was, but I guess she's some pretty powerful person.
Choristers and Seraphim. Yeah.
Those are the worst names ever.
Well, Seraphim, I think that's like an angelic the name, isn't it? I believe, like if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, I know.
They're scraping the bottom of the bucket trying to get these names out here. But anyways, I know it follows her story a bit, and I don't know if she's sort of on the page there, or her mentor is sort of worried that she might take its place. So in the end, I think he tries to kill her, sort of like Game of Thrones style, and throws her off off a building or something.
Mm-hmm.
And then, big reveal at the end. Spoiler alert: Kitty Pryde comes to save her. So
yeah,
we'll see what's going on with that. See, Kitty Pryde's still on the good side. Everybody else seems to be bad. Well, everybody else seems to be living with this mutant liberation here.
Yeah, I mean, this book makes sense in the sense that Jed MacKay in the Amazing X-Men book, it's the good side, let's say, and then in this one you're kind of seeing it from Doug Ramsey's perspective and how things are going with his rule or whatever over these mutants, the other side. So the fact that he's writing kind of both sides, the main kind of mini series and all these other spin-offs are just other characters that are existing in this world. I mean, it makes sense in that regard, at least, but I just couldn't find myself being as interested in this one as I was with the Amazing X-Men one. I still think that's my favorite out of the bunch, like that Jed MacKay has done. But again, I guess it's necessary to have this book, alongside the Amazing X-Men one, just to kind of see what's going on the other side of the fence here with the Doug Ramsey stuff. But couldn't find myself being as interested in this one as I was like the main X-Men book, let's say the Amazing X-Men one, just to kind of see where Cyclops and Beast are from our time, like, you know, the time displays type thing where they got them in that story. And then you're also dealing with a Wolverine that's been taken over or brainwashed or whatever the hell he is. Like that's original, right? It's happened a million times, but for whatever reason, that one has just been more interesting to me. And this one was okay. I think that these are still probably your best bet out of all of these books that have been coming out. I think the Jed McKay led ones are probably the best of the bunch. But you know, still, I mean, it's gonna only go on for a couple months, so it's not that big of a deal for me. But yeah, most of the tie-ins have not been great. What'd you give this, Chris?
I'll give it a 3.5.
Yeah,
hasn't been as bad as those last bunch we saw.
Yeah, 3.5 out of 5. I agree. All right, and then speaking of the spinoffs, Radioactive Spider-Man #1, written by Joe Kelly as well. The current Spider-Man writer. What'd you think of this, Chris?
I didn't think much of this one at all.
No.
I don't know what's going on here. I'm glad I didn't buy it. Generally, I kind of just buy this because it was Spider-Man. But I don't know. He's still living in New York, and I don't know who's the good guys or who's the bad guy, or like if he's sort of like a rebel there. But anyways, everybody's all worried about the police coming to get them, and then I don't know what they do with Aunt May there. Why'd they just let this lady die? Wasn't that the big reveal at the end that she's almost like some superhero or something? Or
no, she's like
got some power source. I don't know what.
She must have got hit with the X virus or something, because like she's like she's got like a full on mutation or something. Like she's like another creature that like kills somebody in this, and then I don't even know if it's a result of the X virus. I wasn't very clear about that. This felt like we missed some. This, like, the way he jumped into this, honestly, was like it was almost as like we missed like a setup issue for this character. Almost like I did not like this either. It was very surprising because this is the current Spider-Man writer, and I feel like he's got a way better handle on Peter in that than he did in this. This didn't feel like the character at all, despite it being in the future.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know. I just didn't dig this. Kevin Walker art was fine. I like Kev Walker, but by the end where it's supposed to hook you with the fact that it turns out that his aunt is this creature or whatever, I could care less. I'm just like, okay, and that's the problem, I think, with a lot of these tie-ins so far that we've kept saying, is that it is very hard for them to kind of get you hooked or interested in these timelines with these characters. It's really all dependent on the setup of the story they're trying to tell. And, a lot of them, they're just striking out in that regard, in my opinion. Like yeah, like I said, every week, I think we've talked about these. There's been one that I probably am going to revisit and talk about on the show, but that's, even those I'm not super interested in, but I'd say out of every 3 or 4 that we've got every week, there's only probably about one where I think it's okay. Right. So yeah, this is I'm not gonna be reading any more of this one. Don't need to hear about where Peter's at in this timeline.
I'll probably read it, but I'm not gonna like it.
I'm just gonna.
I give this a 3.25.
I may even go 3. I didn't really care for this.
Yeah, it wouldn't be. Just looking at that doesn't that would bring it down to a 3 for me. You can just see that. That's the hook there, the splash page at the end.
There's this creature that she like eats somebody or something in this panel, and then you see her standing here. That's the reveal at the end.
Yeah.
So, next up, we got Omega Kids #1.
Omega Kids, I wasn't really looking forward to reading this either. But as a comic on its own, like I think it was okay.
Yes, Chris. This is the one. I liked this. I liked this one. Yeah, it was a good setup.
Yeah, like it's what's Quentin? It's Quentin Quire, right?
Yep.
And he's got kind of a crew of kids there, and he's a firm believer in the revelation, and all these kids, they kind of there's some mutant geniuses, let's say, and he's kind of taking them through a training program. And then, like the twist at the end, like here's a good twist at the end. Like he's talking about trying to get these kids to kind of simulate a world So when the rebels, or I don't know what you want to call them, like the humans or whoever is, against the revelation, when they're kind of doing all their plans, you can kind of just trick them into doing their plans so you can see what they were. And even the plans that these rebels have is like, oh, everybody only had 3 steps, so they couldn't figure out, like they wouldn't be able to psychically just read their minds to find out what they're going to do. So that was all sort of interesting stuff. Even that on its own, I thought it was decent, and he was, hard on those kids there because there was like a glitch in there, in this fake world that they're putting up there. And then at the end, these kids are sort of on their own, and then they start talking. And you go, what the heck are these kids up to?
Yeah.
And then you see that Quentin Quires just pouring that empty cup of coffee into nothing because I think they're pulling that same trick on him, and
Right.
he doesn't even realize it's going on.
That's right. So for all we know, Quentin Quire isn't really down with the bad guys in this. He's just being controlled by these kids. And like this, there's this whole great scene where he's talking to one of the cuckoos, which of course is the one I believe he had dated in the comics. This one tracks, by the way, too. This is a good representation of who I know to be Quentin Quire, and honestly, like a natural evolution of where his character is in the future. It tracks. He was a kid that was very powerful, psychic as well. And and this makes sense that he was trying to like lead these kids or whatever. But yeah, that's the messed up part, is that the twist at the end is that the kids are the ones that are pulling the strings and got him up in his own head thinking he's sitting there talking to one of the cuckoos here, and that's not even the case, right? This
he's just putting that empty cup of coffee on the ground as I go, oh, what's happening here?
Yeah, I'm glad you agree in that sense, because we literally just said a bunch of these have been bad, but this is, for me, I think this is the diamond in the rough at this point. Out of all the tie-ins that we've read, this is probably my favorite in the first issue, honestly. I did quite like this. I thought it was a good setup. It makes sense. It had an interesting twist. The art was good. And it read like the character. Like, some of these are huge departures from like who I know these people to be. This tracks, I felt like this one. So I was quite pleased with this one, honestly. Yeah, I mean, it might just be as a result of all the other ones being really bad, but I think this is also written by Tony Fleece, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, who, we liked on Local Man as well. And I know we haven't really been connecting a lot with some of his Marvel work. He's been showing up on some things here and there, especially with Tim Seeley. Like, they were kind of co-writing stuff, his co-writer on Local Man. And I don't feel like we've loved a lot of the Marvel stuff that we've been reading from him, but this was an exception. I thought this was pretty solid.
Yeah, I think this works for his kind of, this is right in his wheelhouse, let's say.
That's right. Yeah, I guess it kind of does feel like a little bit of Local Man-ish kind of stuff going on here. Yeah, that's a good point. So yeah, I liked it. What'd you give this?
I'll give it a 3.5, though. It wasn't spectacular. It's just been better than the worst.
I'll go 3.75, but honestly, virgin on a 4. If the next issue comes out and it's just as good as the setup was, and I'm probably going to declare this the best out of the tie-ins so far. I mean, I can say that now probably, but I'm definitely going to read the next one. Like, this is one of the only ones where I'm like, okay, I want to read the next issue of this. Actually, I liked it. So, and then we got the Last Wolverine #1, Chris. I know this is the one you were looking forward to the most.
Yeah, this is the one I was looking forward to the least. Like, I couldn't even believe that they're freaking doing this. But I don't know, man. I like this one. This one, if you want a contender, this is my contender for the best of the stories. Like, they got the Wendigo there. He's just, he's living out in Vancouver. Yeah, they kind of like go into like just trying to save a couple kids from a burning building. And he seems to be well liked by the people in Vancouver. And the kids sort of ask him some history. I think he has to freaking go over some of those things. I think they do bring it up later on. There is that when he did become the Wendigo, they wonder how he's like, why he's Wolverine. He goes, oh, Wolverine saved me, after I got I was cursed by the Wendigo. But do they not tell him that, for me to get that curse, I had to eat my friend in the freaking wilderness? Yeah. They kind of gloss over that part.
Well, the woman's like, oh yeah, no, he's just joking.
Well, he has that comic book that he wrote. I don't know if that's public knowledge in the world here, because after he ate his friend there, he decided to write a comic about it before the curse took him over, which was crazy to begin with.
I did like the scene where like the Wolverine that's currently like in this Age of Revelation story, it shows a flashback with him, how he's like a dick to him and he tosses him off the building.
Yeah.
He's like,
they kind of hint that they worked together for a while.
He's like, what's going on with
that this Wendigo, and he seems to be like a pop, not I want to say popular, but a jovial character, like he's not brooding, he's just happy to be what he's doing. Mm-hmm. Seems to be a younger guy. And then the characters they bring in, he goes down to see Nightcrawler. It's nice to see him, Nightcrawler. I know it sounds like he's lost his powers.
There's also a funny joke they make about him, like them thinking that he's not legal age enough to drink in this, where he's just like, oh yeah, no, I am, but I'm gonna have to pass on this getting a drink with you guys, which I thought was kind of fun. The fact that like they can't tell if he's still like, because
I don't know what he is, or if he's a kid, or who knows.
Yeah,
and then I liked all the stuff with what's that, with Nightcrawler and the family. The Nightcrawler is a kid there, and they seem to be very friendly with each other. It's always nice to see. Then the Wendigo goes home, and then someone breaks into his house. Mm-hmm. And then freaking who is it? Jesus Christ! One of the best character reveals I've seen in a long time. That's got to be Heather Hudson. And then another reveal on top of that is that she's married to Wolverine, and they're going to go and try and get him back from whatever craziness that he's under. Beautiful stuff. Love it all.
Wow, folks, I'm officially shocked right now.
The character reveal, freaking he's the Vindicator, not freaking Aunt May in a freaking pod.
I also enjoyed this though. It was good, and it was a bit of a surprise in the sense that we weren't interested in this. We kind of stopped reading Wolverine because we weren't interested in the character direction. You know what though? Again, I will say this: despite us not loving the current like Saladin Ahmed Wolverine run for the most part, it feels like a natural evolution of where this character could be in this timeline. I feel like some of them, that's where the main disconnect is as well. Like, as much as we didn't really care about this character, this makes sense to the character that we know in the current Wolverine series. You know what I mean? Like, this is him kind of actually matured and doing his own thing and grown up, which may be part of the reason why we found that character so annoying to begin with, because it kind of derailed the whole book. And then all of a sudden it became about him. This is like, this is about him, this story, but it's not like in the book of Wolverine. This is his story now. So yeah, I get it. I liked it as well. I thought it was solid. I'd still put Omega Kids over this for me this week instead. I think you're the other way around, it sounds like, but I liked it. It was good. I definitely would read the next issue as well.
Yeah, I'll give this one a 3.75, no problem.
And then and I'll give it a 3.5. There you go. We swapped on that. So that being said, this is probably the best week of the tie-ins that we've had so far. If you guys are keeping score,
one that is just crazy with that Galactus. Like, talk about things that don't track. That is something that doesn't track.
Yeah, those were bad that week. Like, those were bad the last week that we talked about them. So, like, I would say the worst out of the bunch here is Radioactive Spider-Man. You don't even bother with that one. The rest still all decent, honestly. I even the Book of Revelation and the Omega Kids, Last Wolverine, not bad. So there you go. I think we have like one more week of stuff next week coming. I think of the other tie-in issues. I think that might be rounding out the last.
There's that Cloak or Dagger and other stuff.
Yeah. All right, so now we're moving into the DCKO tie-in books here. Speaking of tie-ins, we got Justice League Unlimited number 12.
What do you think of the art of this one? I'm pretty sure I read this. I'm not sure exactly what happened.
This is really good setup as a tie-in as well. I thought this is basically where at the end of the last arc, they have all these time displaced versions of different Justice League members, different people like from around the DC universe that represent different time periods for those characters. So you had like the Peter David Aquaman, where he had one hook on one of his arms. He's missing an arm from like the 90s. And you had Batman Beyond, Terry McGinnis Batman, and you had like all these versions of characters that in it, they're talking about the multiverse. They're like, are we just from different universes? They're like, no, you're literally just snapshots, like versions of these people throughout different time periods. And if we solve what we're kind of dealing with here right now and fix the time stream, even though you guys have been ripped out of time, you'll essentially just cease to exist. So then they're kind of told this beforehand. They're like, well, you're all heroes, though, and I know you're all going to step up regardless. And then they basically become the pseudo Justice League team, essentially, as a result of all of the Justice League members being involved in DCKO right now. So then you have like this really weird group of characters that are the current Justice League as a result of this. And then you have this great scene with Power Girl, who's like kind of speaking in she's recording a video for herself from her past self to her current state self, because she's involved in DCKO. And there's all these really fun kind of character moments and reflections on these characters, knowing that like they are basically helping out to be wiped away from existence. Like these are just like versions of themselves from different time periods that will, once these characters come back, they're going to be toast. So it's kind of an interesting concept. Did you read this one?
Yeah, I don't think I did. I think I missed this one.
Oh man, you might want to check this one out. Superman Blue from like back in the 2000s is one of the characters. Guy Gardner, the old Guy Gardner, where he's the Guy Gardner warrior, like is in this. Like, so it's all like, if you know some of the histories of these characters throughout DC Comics, a lot of these are like 90s, 2000s versions of these people. Like the Dr. Fate, I think, is the woman Dr. Fate, which again was, I think, in the 90s. Like there's different people that were Dr. Fate. This version of Hawkman is from because Hawkman's like one of the characters they've rebooted the most. So like this is kind of acknowledging that DC, it does this to characters and reboots them and all this kind of stuff. And this is them just ripped out of certain time periods. Not this, not to say that they didn't exist, but to kind of get away from the whole multiverse idea, which is overdone at this point, right? So they're saying like these times existed throughout our existence, but these characters, but they're kind of just here for a moment before they go away. Like, so it's really cool. I like it as a concept. I think it's very clever. I got to give it up to Mark Waid. I think he ended up writing this as usual, and I think it serves as a really good tie-in event issue, honestly. Just on its own, I'm actually very interested to see this current arc now play out with these characters and that are acting in place of the Justice League. So yeah, good stuff. Honestly, the more I talk it up, I was gonna give it a 4, but I might even go 4.25. I thought this was a very solid issue. If you can wrap your head around like the if I didn't do a great job of explaining it, that's on me, because when I read it, that was my understanding of it, and it was very interesting and very kind of well explained. It's so many times in comics, like with these huge kind of setups for these events, it doesn't really come across in a great way. And even though this is like outside of the main DCKO event, that's how impressed I was by it. I was like, this is actually just solid on its own, and it kind of has to do with the event, but not real. Like the circumstances the characters are in are a result of the event, but they're not necessarily interacting with it yet till the end of the issue. It looks like they're getting pulled in to save some people, like some Justice League members from like Apocalypse or something at the end of the issue. So yeah, really good stuff. All right, so next up we got Superman 31, which was also a DCKO tie-in. What'd you think of this, Chris?
I got my issue here. It was a good-looking comic, I'll say that much.
Mm-hmm.
And one thing I don't like about this DCKO stuff is all this stuff about trying to evacuate the Earth. I think they're spending way too much time on that sort of information. And a lot of this was here, where like Superman's going to the Fortress of Solitude and, digging around those crystals there, talking to his father, trying to find out why there's no sort of information about Darkseid or the Omega, whatever, King Omega, and things like that. Somehow it's all related to Krypton. And then, the father figure say, this stuff could just be not erased because it was not part of the official record. And, and then Superman's kind of, just John with Lois about that. And, Lois, of course, being a reporter, he kind of smells a bit of a story, or she smells something funny in the air about that all business. Then I think they jump to, the Earth, or how they're evacuating at least everybody out of Metropolis. I think they've shrunk down some ships and all that. That's a little bit too much there. And I don't know how Lois gets to commandeer a ship, but she does somehow because I guess she's Lois Lane, and she takes that ship out to the Fortress of Solitude and starts messing around with the crystals. And I think somehow she ends up talking to Clark's mother, or to Superman's mother, and I guess she has some sort of information there. And it seems to be that information that Superman may need. And I think at this time, one of the Omega Legion break in, or somebody breaks in.
Yeah, the Omega Legion, and she hits Lois with sun rays, essentially.
Yeah, I guess that break in there flashes her with powers.
Or Superboy Prime makes his way back as well from
and then Superboy Prime makes it back, and I guess the Legion are chasing him.
Yes,
and when they break through, I guess to break through these universes, that power they use to break through, that sort of fires up Lois Lane. Looks like she's gonna be Superwoman again, which I was all for. I enjoyed her as Superwoman. I was kind of sad when she lost it. I knew she was going to, but she's back in business here, so I thought that was a good twist at the end.
Yeah, I didn't really. Yeah, I agree. I didn't really care for all that stuff with the Zor-El projection, and then his Lara, his mom, coming on, and Turpy. Yeah. All that stuff was not very interesting to me. But by the end of the issue, though, I agree with you. The fact that Superboy Prime showed back up, which I really enjoyed in the last storyline, and it left us on that note of her becoming Superwoman again. Now it kind of makes a little bit more sense, because I like you, was scratching my head as to why she's like commandeering that ship and what's going on with all that stuff in the issue. All that stuff, I could have left all that out, but yeah. But by the end of this, it was just like, okay, that this is now going to be the storyline that they're telling during DCKO. It was all kind of just like a bunch of other baloney. I felt like they had to get through that kind of to get to this point.
Yeah, but just kind of like some housekeeping to, where we've evacuated the world. We just can't say it's evacuated. We'll show you how. All that baloney stuff.
Also, I feel like they were just rehashing a lot of stuff that we've already read in like KO and stuff like that at this point. You know what I mean? So yeah. So, but by the end, I agree. I was like, okay, yeah, this is interesting. I'm really excited to see where this goes as well. So,
I'm good to see Superboy Prime. I think they were just going to write him off and let him ride out in the sunset, fighting the Dark Legion, in the future. But it looks like he's back here to cause some trouble, good or bad. Who knows? I'd give this a 3.75.
Yeah, same. Good stuff. And then finally, I think I read here the DCKO tie-in for Flash 26. Now, this one's also co-written by Mark Waid and Christopher Cantwell, who I guess maybe is he the current writer? I'm not too sure. But Waid came on here to write this one as well, or plot it maybe. And he's written a lot of Flash in his past as well. This is kind of like a bunch of the different speedsters, though. This is Wally West Flash in this, and it has like Bart, like Impulse, and like the older Flash Jake Garrick. So there's like a few of them working together in this in the context of the DCKO event. And basically, my big takeaway from this issue was they were trying to work together. They went through like a time stream of some sort, I guess, using their Flash powers, using the Speed Force or whatever, or something. I wasn't too clear on it. Here's the thing, too. As a tie-in jumping in, it felt like, again, I'd missed out on stuff previous to this because, like, I don't read this series. So I feel like there was some other stuff they were addressing or talking about or getting into that I think was happening in the main series that I didn't have the context for. So it definitely affected my enjoyment a little bit in that regard. But my big takeaway by the end of it, I felt like, was all the speedsters go back to a time period where Darkseid, like prior to him becoming this Darkseid that they're dealing with during DCKO, like the version of him from the All In, I guess, universe or whatever, the Absolute stuff. And he actually acknowledges that they're there in a time period that they shouldn't be. And he basically just like whoops their ass and says, like, I can see through all time and space and control it. Like, so he's like Thanos or something in this. Like, he literally acknowledges the fact that they're going back to the past to kind of change the future. And he puts a stop to it, and he grabs them and he messes up like their time streams. And then at the end of the story, there's all these weird things like mashups of stuff that happen, like events through their life that maybe didn't come out the same. Like you're seeing kind of like things being referenced and thrown up on the page for both Bart and him. So Impulse and I think Wally. So yeah, clearly this guy is he's not messing around. This like little way they thought they were going to approach this and help them in the current day events did not work out for them. And that's kind of where we're at with this Flash tie-in right now. So I guess we'll see how they kind of, get out of this one. But, I might read it depending on the week it comes out again. But out of the tie-ins that we're talking about here, I'm in on Superman, because I was reading that already. And for the most part, I've been reading Justice League Unlimited as well. But that was, I think, the best tie-in that I've read this week. This one was just okay. I give it a 3.5 out of 5. And I'll just show that one page here where she, like grabs them. And like, then he starts seeing like all these events in their lives may have been affected as a result. He's like, let me show you what I am. Feel me reach into your past, into your futures. And he kind of screws everything up for them. So that was a cool scene. I quite like that. That was Flash 26. And then the conclusion of Jason Aaron's run on Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles with number 12 came out this week. And this great cover of them all together looking into the sunrise, kind of like a sad goodbye cover, it seems like, from Juan Ferreira, the artist that's been drawing his whole one arc here from issue 6 to 12 or something, whatever he jumped on the book. Unfortunately, Jason Aaron leaving, I feel like a little too early. But what'd you think of this, Chris?
Yeah, definitely too early. I guess it was a good end of the arc, but I thought he'd do something, maybe a little bit more special. But from the way it sounds like, I don't think when he wrote this, he didn't know he was ending.
No.
You know what I mean? Like this just, like if you knew you're ending a run, like it was a pretty good run, I'll say that much. Like there's nothing special here about this. This is a big trope that, I guess been going on through this whole first 12 issues is these 4 turtles got to work together. And then even still when they kind of, talk it out, I think even one of them still says, I don't think I'm part of this. I'm just going to go kick that mutant's ass, whatever it is, that Hale guy. And he seems to be a mutant that's just transforming on the fly. It seems in every panel he's a different sort of monster. But then I guess they do come together, and there's almost like an aura about them, like a giant turtle that's like just towering over the buildings there that this Hale guy sees, and he just sort of collapses from it. But who knows? That could have been just them sort of kicking his ass. That could have been more of a metaphorical sort of thing that was going on. And so it was a nice ending to that. They touch base with April and Casey Jones. He's in the hospital talking about things. And then I don't know if this is a setup for a story that he wanted to write, or if this is going to be setting up for the next one with what's his name? With Splinter. Because they kind of, they try and, use some of their mystic arts to see what he's up to. And they almost come to terms with him that he's dead and, he's in a better place. And he decided not to come back. And, if they ended it right there, the turtles hold hands or stand on the building like, like the cover, that would have been still a great ending. But, of course, there's the Foot Clan. The leader there is dabbling in the mystics art. She's trying to, bring back people from the dead. And then the ending is somehow she brought Splinter back.
Yeah.
It's like, whoa, there we go. Here we are. Interesting. Yeah. I don't know if this is playing out into the next run.
Oh, I'm sure it will be.
Keep an eye on it.
Yeah, I'm sure it will be. And like I said, I'm sticking with it for now. But this has been a good year of him doing this series. It definitely does feel like he had more planned for himself, whether or not this was like an idea he had cooking. Or maybe this was an editorial decision to bring him back because he's been off the table and dead in the comics for some time. Either way, he did leave it in an interesting position for the new writer to come on. So, because, that's great that he's going to get to write Splinter. He's been out of the comics and dead in this IDW continuity for quite a while now. And so has Shredder, right? But for that matter, but I think still the number one, my favorite thing about this run though has been the Juan Ferreira art. We do the Comic Shop Talk Awards at the end of every year. He's definitely going to be in the mix for me for my favorite artists that had done work this year. I mean, even these 6 or 7 issues or whatever he put out were all really well done. The layouts were really interesting. The look of the turtles, gave it kind of like a more of a mature kind of feel, almost like it's got definitely like the painted colors that he brought to his art. Like very interesting looking stuff, and the fight layouts were fantastic. Like even in this issue, I mean, he did all kinds of stuff like this in his run, but like there's a page here where like you see all the reflections of them on the back of a turtle shell, like right here, which was like pretty cool. Like I like all the panels are essentially on the back of the shell pattern. He did like fun little things like that throughout the whole run, and he's definitely a standout for me. So that's one of my favorite things about this run. But it was a good year of comics. You could tell that he had to kind of rush to the end, but he still stuck the landing in the sense that he set something else up at the end and he wrapped up everything in a nice bow there. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like it wasn't, you could tell it was a quick wrap up, but he did what he had to do to kind of step away from the book. So I'm glad that you did get a resolution of sorts, right? So, I'm interested to see where it goes, but I am disappointed he's leaving it because I feel like this is the best the Turtles comics have been in some time. So anyways, what'd you give this?
I'll give it a 4. And like at least those first 12 issues could be 4.25. It was good stuff all the way through.
Yeah, I agree with those ratings. Yeah, 4 for this. And yeah, definitely I think the run's like 4.25, 4.5, honestly, even for me, because I picked up the first hardcover, and I'll pick up the next one that comes out. I just need that one on my shelf. I really like the one. I mean, the first arc, don't forget, he had a really good artist on every issue. And then Juan Ferreira came on and basically has been the main artist on the title. And there's a really good artist coming up on issue 13. So, maybe there's still hope to kind of keep the momentum of this series going with a new writer, right? But we'll see. All right, Chris, Powers 25.
Powers 25, just read this one online, so I don't have a copy. And this is Bendis, right?
Yep.
Yeah, like I was just saying, there's been a lot of news about him maybe coming back to Marvel to do something, so I just want to see what he's all about. And this Powers world, I was not familiar with it beforehand, like I said before. And like this just kind of, it's like a sort of hard-boiled detective comic. They're following I forget what her name is, but it's something Powers, and she kind of stumbled onto something. She thought she was going to get demoted, and then she's back in the kind of facing the music here. And I guess her superior says she's been promoted now. I think they're just trying to get her off sort of the story or off the case that she was on. But of course, she's a hard ass, stubborn type of detective there, so she kind of keeps on going on with the story. And there's something interesting that happens. I think one of the victims of the last one, somebody had a hole blown in their head. They're in the morgue, and the morgue, the mortician, let's say, realizes that if you drop something in that hole, it just disappears. And there's a lot of talk about, what happens to this stuff. Is this like a black hole, or does it go into like another dimension or something? And they're thinking it's a portal. So there's a lot of interesting stuff with that. And then further on her investigation, at the end of the story, she goes back to the scene of the crime, and sort of all these, I don't know, heroes or villains, I don't know who they are, but they all show up, and it's still good stuff.
Yeah, I just forgot to read it. I actually was looking forward to checking this out, and I've been a big fan of Powers from back in the day. It's nice to see it back, and definitely check this out. Any more news though on it? Because I think where they left it last issue, they found the badge of that other cop, Dina Pilgrim, at the scene of the crime.
Yeah, they were talking about that in there, and then, well, it turns out she's lost her badge 7 times.
Yeah, jeez.
So it's not like this badge is it's like a only badge. Like she had a badge on there, so I guess the insinuation is that she might have been there and she was betting her badge, but it could be the case still, but maybe throwing you off that trail a bit, saying, "Hey, I've lost 7 badges." I guess that detective's been involved in some stuff, and maybe these people, maybe that's some special memorabilia for whoever was at the table playing that poker game. But it's still good stuff. I give it a 3.75.
Nice. Then I got a couple here that I read this week. Detective Comics 1102. Let me issue here. I've been liking this. This is still good. Another solid issue. Again, Tom Taylor's run on this title has been good in the sense that it kind of is sticking true to the name of the title. It's definitely more of a detective version of Batman. And he's really kind of throwing some challenges his way in this run between, the first arc where it was like him kind of dealing with the fact that he's getting older and that whole serum, him taking the serum and stuff to kind of keep up. And in this one, he's basically been infected by the end of the last issue by some sort of like virus or something. So like he's really, throwing some challenges his way in this run as well. Like he's not, I'm Batmaning him his way out of every situation, right? So it's pretty interesting. And like the stories in every issue too, like he's definitely doing kind of like a one and done approach, but more so like drawing out like the actual cases and the storylines, like the way he's writing it, where sometimes like the decompressed storylines where you're like you got to wait 6 issues to kind of get through the arc, and sometimes like you don't get enough, or this is kind of like you get enough each issue and it is adding on to like a larger story being told, which I do appreciate. I think that his approach to this series is pretty solid. It's definitely, I would say, even different than what he kind of did on Nightwing, which I was a big fan of that run until maybe the last quarter of the run, where I feel like we were both kind of like,
it kind of felt that written for trade, where it's like, the issue arc where, issue 1, this happens, issue 2, this happens. So it's nice to hear that, these stories flow better.
Yeah. And this one, he goes to investigate like, some rich billionaire dude that he thinks was responsible for like making this thing that he's gotten infected by. And he goes in there undercover as Bruce Wayne. And, he ends up excusing himself from hanging out with him for the evening, because he like went to like this guy's casino or something like that. And he ends up following him into like this secret base that he has, where I guess he's got all his operations in. And now he's as Batman, not as Bruce Wayne, of course, but apparently he anticipated that he was going to show up there. So he, again, got one up on Batman, it seems like, at the end of this issue. So it's nice. Like it feels like Batman, but it also doesn't feel like Batman at the same time, in the sense that like he's actually taken the approach of like, seems like challenging the character at every step, right? Like every turn here. So he's still coming out on top, but he's not having an easy time with it, it seems like. So I appreciate that. I'll give this a 3.75 out of 5. It's another solid issue in a solid run overall so far. And then Escape number 3. It's continuing this Rick Remender war story with anthropomorphic kind of animals being main characters. Like there's a bear that's like behind enemy lines, World War II style in this. Again, Daniel Acuna, who's drawing it, a great artist. He always really works with really good artists. Remender, I feel like between him and Mark Miller, they kind of take up like majority of the good artists on their creator-owned titles that they do through Image. This is at the end of the last issue, it was like a flashback issue, but this one kind of takes you right back to the action of him having fallen behind enemy lines. And this is on him on the run trying to survive this scenario. He ends up having to take out some people. And it's all like the narration in this issue is all done from the character's POV, like him talking to himself. Okay, I got to do this. Now I got to do that. And this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to grab this knife. I'm going to you kind of really feel like you're in the character's head and you're kind of in this scenario with him, the way that it's written. So I liked that he kind of changed up his approach, his writing style for the narration in this one. It's a little bit different. It's always been from the perspective of the main character, like the narration of this book, but this was like, instead of him just recollecting like some past events of his life and kind of doing the narration for that, this is like real time, like I have to deal with what's happening right now and survive this scenario. So it was really interesting to read that, like the way he wrote it in this one. And the art's great, and it's a war story. So I like my war comics. There's not enough of them out there, but when it's done by good people like Garth Ennis, I didn't know Remender had a war story in him, but here we are, and I think it's really good so far. So I gave this a 3.75 out of 5 too. And it really, I don't know like what the choice was to make it animals. Maybe it's like to kind of put them through more brutal situations or something. It doesn't feel that way. It's like they don't even acknowledge it. It's like beneath the trees where nobody sees. It doesn't matter. It's not like, hey, I'm a bear. Like it's just they just have.
Yeah, they don't know that they're bears and
right. So I like that. Like it's not like it has nothing to do. Like he's not out here doing like animalistic stuff as the bear, right? Like that might happen at some point, though. He might bite someone's head off. I don't know, but we'll see. Creep Show, Volume 4, Number 2. What was this one here? What are the short stories in this one? Yeah, so a lot of names I didn't recognize on this one, which sometimes is a bad thing. Sometimes it's a good thing. You can get introduced to some new people's work. The main person I knew from this one drew the first story, Gabriel Walta, who draws that Jeff Lemire book that we like, the Phantom Road. So that was cool to see him draw this short story. This one had to do with ants. Basically, these ants that like they're kind of testing these. They're doing tests on, and then the ants basically end up crawling all over these people and controlling them like their bodies. So it's kind of weird. That was kind of cool and kind of like the expected twist, I guess you would expect from this kind of thing, that they're they're being experimented on, and the next thing you know, they're going around controlling the humans, and that was kind of interesting. And then the second story I didn't like as much, as these things go with anthologies. I didn't think the last one was as strong as the first one. Then the first one was just all right, but I did like seeing Gabriel Walta's art on this story. He definitely has a flair for drawing like some scary, weird looking stuff like he does in Phantom Road as well sometimes, right? Yeah, the art on this one wasn't bad, but this is basically like a golf. It's it's one that takes place on the, actually, you know what? No, this wasn't too bad either. This was interesting. This guy thinks he's cursed. He's like this rich douchebag who's on the golf course and treats people like shit. And he literally kills his caddy because he doesn't care for something that happens. So he just like smashes him with his golf club in my part. So he kills this guy. And then I think he was like a Mexican caddy or something. So then he like says something in Spanish that sounds like, so then and then he ends up dying like in the hospital after saying this thing. And his father kind of was there and everything, observing all this. And then this guy just gets away with it, right? So then, he then looks up the word because all these bad things start happening to him. It's like his life starts falling apart after he ends up muttering this thing to him. And he's like, oh, this guy must have fucking cursed me or something. So he looks up the word, and it turns out like that is what he was doing. But the thing is that he doesn't realize that it wasn't him that did it. Like he ends up going and having him killed because he's laid up in the hospital. He's still alive. And he thinks that if he kills him, the curse will end because he's the one that put the curse on him. It turns out it's the guy's father at the end, though. That's the twist. And he said that you're an idiot. Like what you overheard him saying was like, my son was a better person than I. He was saying, don't curse this man. Right? So he's like, you clearly don't understand Spanish. And that's what he was trying to say, not curse him. So he ended up fucking himself, and then the guy, the father at the end, is like, he says like, I'm gonna make sure, like now he's laid up in the hospital at the end. He's like, I'm gonna make sure like you pay like for the rest of your life for what you did to my son. So it's kind of like a little sick, twisted kind of end to it as well, right? He got him fried on, like he made him go to the electric chair and everything. Yeah, you know what? I did like that. I'll give this 3.75 out of 5. I actually did quite like this story. It was the first one I felt like that was very one note, but I like the art. So yeah, 3.75 out of 5 for that story. I did like that one. All right, Chris. Exquisite Corpses, number 6.
Woo. Yeah, this story, I got it in my solicits. I'm buying this stuff. This one here, I guess, they're doing a bit of housekeeping in here too. You get a lot of kind of what's going on in the main fun house there, where all the billionaires or all the inner circle are kind of just watching everything, what's going on, and they're trying to check in with everybody. So it kind of touches base with a few of the characters, and there's a few that are on the loose that they don't know what's happening with. But basically, I think they're following. I know this is like an adult that just looks like a kid. It's almost like the pranky guy from High Street. But
that's what it reminded me of. Yeah, his name's Gamer Kid in this.
Yeah, the Gamer Kid, and he's been kind of hanging out with a little kid and his dad as they go trick or treating. And this this gamer kid. He's almost just trying to lure this kid that he's sort of befriended into doing all these sorts of bad things. Like, I don't know how sometimes, like, I think they went to one house and then he went there after, and he's got some drone which just drops down and he's just like blasting away people for no reason, and which is what's happening in this whole story. But then they go into a or then he he talks this kid into running away with him into a corn maze where the father's sort of upset, and just even some of the conversation that this gamer kid has, like, in front of the dad. I think he's talking about cutting some girl from like cunt to sternum or something, and then
And he
the
calls
father's like, what are you saying here? You can't talk like that. And then of course this gamer kid thought he was friendly with all these people, and once he kind of gets some discipline there, he starts getting a little upset with the father, and he takes this kid. They run over into a corn maze or something, and they're just kind of running there. And the father's trying to chase him down. And then as the father's looking for him, the gamer kid pulls out his drone and shows it to his kid friend, and he's like, "Hey, you want to play with this?" And he's okay. And he's freaking, they're flying it around. And he's, "Oh, look, there's monsters there." And then he turns it into I guess, the thermal mode, so you can't really see what it is, or if like it's people, you can't see faces or anything like that. And I think this kid freaking offs a few people, thinking it's a game or something. And then I think the father sees those kids, and then now the gamer kid is like freaking urging this kid to shoot that new monster that came out of nowhere, which would be this kid's father.
Yeah.
And then sort of the kid somehow breaks the drone or something. And then that gamer kid goes freaking off the rails because he really liked his drone, or he thought that drone seemed to be his only friend. And I think he's about to freaking turn on the kid and freaking kill him. And then, that rabbit guy comes out of nowhere.
Rascal Randy.
It's odd how this Rascal Randy's probably freaking a piece of work himself, but at this time he seems to be a hero, and he freaking offs the gamer kid.
Yeah.
And I just like, we walks by and pats the kid on the head.
Yeah.
Great stuff. Good stuff all around. And then once again, now, and it goes into that, whatever the bracket there again at the end. It's got to keep on reading this stuff. It's good. This is a great comic.
Absolutely. Fantastic issue. I couldn't agree more. Loved everything about it. It also reminded me of Pranky and just the foul things that were coming out of his mouth. It was just, it's so good. Like the stuff he was saying, and like, he calls the kid a pussy at one point, and the kid's like, "What's a pussy?" Like, it was hilarious. It's dark. It's messed up. It's really like captivating, though. You need to know what happens next every issue. There's people systematically getting taken off the board by other members of the group, and they're taking out all these innocent people at the same time. It's really good. It's really great stuff. It's and the fact that they have different writers coming in on every issue and different artists, it's a great package that they're working towards. Like the product that these guys are putting out, James Tynan and Michael Walsh. It's just really great. Like this series, I'm having a lot of fun, ton of fun with this book. And also the timing that they were smart enough to put out this whole thing with it being Halloween night. Like you get this kind of, the scenes with them. I know it's been leading up to this point for a while, but it's coming out in October, and it had all this like this trick-or-treating stuff in this. I just thought it worked really well for what it was.
And even that stuff with the kid in the pit too. He seems to realize something bad is up. He's trying to talk to all the kids to get out of there.
Yes.
I think someone kind of taps him on the shoulder. I don't know if he got wasted or not, but there's a lot of threads that are flowing, and I think they're all good. I'd give this a 4.25, no problem.
Yeah, agreed. I might even go 4.5 this week, actually. I quite like this. I had a lot of fun with this one. Good stuff. I'm doing it 4.5 out of 5. I really like. I thought this is. I mean, I've been liking the last couple issues a lot. But this is definitely one of my favorites this week. It was good. Drawing Blood number 9.
Another good issue. I don't know if this has been off the rails for a while. I think in the last issue, wasn't it like he was talking to all his characters, and he was like thinking about jumping off the roof, and somebody might have saved him or something.
Yeah, and it was some
either way, he's
father.
He's ended up here in I don't know if it's a mental institution or a mental retreat or something like that. thinking that this is what it wouldn't be a very interesting story, but I thought it wasn't too bad. I kind of liked it. He's talking with a therapist a lot there, and then he has his bipolar friend that's our roommate that he likes to play chess with, and it seems like a normal guy until he kind of starts going off the rails and starts, oh yeah, with whatever the therapist's name was. Oh, once she can't be with me just because I'm a patient now, but once I'm out of here, I think we're going to be together, and then she's going to have to do some training, and then we can go up to the space station and all that sort of stuff. And then just all the sorts of breakthroughs I guess he has when he's in therapy. Those were all sort of interesting. And I get from what I understood that there were he's in the middle of doing some Broadway with the rag dolls, and there's some concern about what's going on with there. And you think something like crazy would happen in the therapy, but nothing crazy happens. He finishes therapy, he makes his breakthroughs, he seems to be better. And he goes back, I think, to New York there, and he realizes that he shouldn't be making these rag dolls. He's going to be following it up. He's going to make a new story about the cat. So things seem to be looking good for him. But wasn't there something with the cats though that was kind of foreboding, let's say, or no?
I don't know if I got that, but there was that the mobster showed up again that he owes money to. He acts like he's like a custodian in the mental hospital where that he's in, and approaches him. So that's kind of still a threat that's in the mix, like to him.
Yeah.
And then I guess he kind of scrapped like whatever ideas he had, and that's like kind of the note that they end on, like you said, that he's going to be doing now this whole play approach. It's one of these things like he had an epiphany where he's like, I actually know what to do finally to fix all my issues, right? So he's definitely come around, and we've seen growth in the character along the series. I think the pacing has been really good because this is going to be a 12-issue series. So we're in issue 9 now. So to kind of see like this last kind of act play out here within the next couple of issues, I think the pacing has been really well done in this series. I mean, it has been delayed the last few months, I will say that, but overall, this has been a good like slice of life type of comic, unexpectedly, honestly. And if any of this shit's true, which I know some of it is, they even reference the tank thing in this about how he bought a tank, which is something that Kevin Eastman literally did in his life back in the day when he had all that fucking money and success. He bought a tank. Like that's well documented. Like he's talked about it. So like, like the fact that this is almost like him kind of working through some demons and stuff, maybe mistakes he's made in his life, is also kind of very interesting to me that it's loosely based on him. So it's a good series. I think all in all, this is going to be something you may want, for anybody that missed it, like check this out when it's all completed, because I think it's it's been solid. So what'd you give this?
Yeah, I give this a 4. It was a good read.
Agreed. Yeah, it's good stuff. Sisterhood number 4.
Well, another horror story here. I'm glad they kind of stretched this one out. I don't feel that this has been long in the tooth or anything. Once again, the last issue, the ghost of her friend kind of took over the body and just offed a whole bunch of people. And rightfully so. Is it Violet that's the main character? She kind of comes to, and she's in jail. She's trying to explain to the cop that I didn't do all this stuff. I'm being taken over, but who's going to believe that sort of stuff? Nobody. And then every time there's a reflection, her best friend that died is trying, here, let me take over. I can fix all this stuff. And then she's like, it's sort of that morality clause there. It's like, oh, you can't do this. You can't be killing people. And then it pops around back to the sorority, and there's how bad those girls were and what they did was so wrong. And then the friend that's dead, she's kind of telling Violet that, oh, I can take control of this body whenever I want. You want to get out of here? Just let me take control. We can do this. And I think the main character still fighting it, but I guess she takes over control. And I'm glad somehow. Sometimes when you can see the battle, I think it just kind of goes into gray space. And then she wakes up in like some dumpster, and sees the reflection. Goes, "What the heck's going on?" She goes, "All right, so you want to get out of here? Got out of here." And I think she takes her. They take her back to the sorority house there to try and kill some more of the people. I think there's one of the sorority sisters that was sort of, I guess, friendly or aware of the plight there, of what they might be doing wrong. And she doesn't care. She wants to kill her. I know if she does end up killing her, but I think she's about to kill her. And of course, the worst of those sorority sisters, once again, ends up stabbing her in the back.
Yeah.
And it's like, whoa, what's going on? How can this worst person here be a protagonist or be sort of the hero at the end again? And then they go back to the palm reader at one point too.
Yeah. Well, she wanted her to basically get rid of the her sister inside of her, like the spirit of her. And she said, you can't do that. We're, that. So that's
bond for life. There's only one way to do this is if you die.
Yeah.
Good stuff all around. Great stuff.
Yeah, solid spin-off miniseries, honestly, and I'm looking forward to how this is going to circle back and tie into the ongoing events of Hyde Street, which is another great book as well that we've been reading coming out from Image Comics. So yeah, it's been enjoyable. It's definitely more the case of like they had a story worth telling here instead of just like let's just put out a spin-off because this is popular.
Yeah, stretch it out for 5 issues somehow,
Yeah. So I think next issue, I think, is the conclusion, though, if I'm not mistaken, of this. But it's been good. It's been solid. Yeah. What'd you give this?
I'll give us a 4 too. I liked it.
I'll go 3.75, but I still did enjoy it as well. And then you got Skinbreaker #2 from Kirkman and David Finch.
Yeah, I think I missed out on this one. And this is one of the comics we like. I know how long this Skinbreakers is, but this is where you want to get all of them. And here we have, once again, to get these names, who knows what these names are, but there's the chieftain, and I think it's his son or his mentor or his protege.
Yeah, I don't think it's his son. I thought it was in the first issue, but in this one, I think they made it clear it is just like, his like protege. He looks up to him, right? Like, he's like, yeah.
That's his protege, and then the last issue, he challenged him, and then you find out, if you challenge the chieftain, it's a battle to the death. And there's no other way around it, and he's the protege. He's trying to find out some other way that that this can't be done, that this chieftain has more to offer the tribe and everything. And what else do you see in here? What was else the story here? There's something more going on, but anyway, so they start battling, and the battle, it happens pretty much early in the issue, and of course it's like the Ric Flair, Shawn Michaels thing. I can't do this to you. I can't do this to you. I don't want to do it. And then, then the old man, he starts going ham on him. And look, you kill me, or this other, there's some sort of dissenter in the tribe there that's ready to take power.
And he ends up scarring him across his eye when he pushes him. Like he actually ends up nicking him across the eye during the battle.
Yeah, trying to get his head in the game. Hey, look, if you don't kill me, I'm going to kill you.
Yeah.
Just to force you to kill me. And of course, before he does the super kick, I'm sorry, my friend, and then freaking pow, he offs him. And then you kind of, you see him in his tent, kind of just getting ready for I guess their burial. And then somehow they jump like 50 years or something. That was a surprising jump.
And now that character's an old chieftain.
Yeah, he's an old chieftain now. I guess that scar comes into play. Because you have one picture with him young, and then the next panel right below it is him as an old man with that same scar. And of course, that other wannabe tribe leader, he's still sort of in the mix, and they're still hunting the animals. And this guy's sort of using new ways to hunt these animals with traps and kind of using tools to break the jaw. And the other guy says, "Hey, these new ways, they're no good. We should be."
Yeah,
we've been doing it the old ways where, it's a hard life. I want the hard life. I'm not here for tricks or anything. And, I guess this chieftain here, he kind of go, look, I can still do it the old one. He rips the jaw open there. But, I guess then, I don't know if they're foreshadowing it to the next issue, but I'm surprised about this like whatever 20, 30-year time jump that they just went into. And it looks like they continue on. It's sort of like the old school versus the new school, and see where this tribe goes. Great stuff.
Yeah, it's a solid book, and I mean, it goes without being said. Again, the art on this series is amazing. Yeah. I'm kind of kicking myself I didn't get the treasury sized edition issues. But as I was telling Chris, I think we talked about it on the new solicits video that we had done too. Kirkman has said that they are going to be putting out somewhere down the line like a big hardcover of this collection because you know, the pages that David Finch, I saw the video, shows off of the art are massive. Like, you know, like you know, the size of original art pages, Chris, like the one that you got. It's like two of them or three of them taped together the size of the art that he's doing for this book, and it's because of all the massive amounts of detail. And he said he has been working on this story for like several years. I mean, this just doesn't do it justice. Like, I mean, it looks great, like reading it in an issue or digitally or whatever, but the amount of detail that he's putting into this work is insane. Like, it's a good story, but the art is just like the best I've ever seen from David Finch. It's great, amazingly detailed art. So good stuff. What'd you give this?
I think I'll give this 4.25. It's a great story, and like I said, the art just freaking bumps it up.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I would give it the bump for the art as well. I think it would be a 4 book without the art, but with the art, yeah, I'll go 4.25 on this as well. Good stuff. Absolute Wonder Woman 13. Got my issue here.
I got my Derek Chu cover.
Oh, nice. I know I missed out on that one. That's a nice one. I like his stuff.
And for Wonder Woman, you know, this one's been kind of cracking along and not doing so bad. And here we have Wonder Woman. She's kind of battling some sort of presence or entity that sort of remains a mystery for most of the issue. And whenever she sort of battles this entity, you know, she kind of gets some bad vibes from her, makes her a little bit more violent. You know, she can't really get a handle on this thing. Like, her magic doesn't work, or her strength isn't working, and this enemy seems to just kind of randomly appear and then just freaking take off, and she can't chase him down. So she's with her team there, and they sort of realize that all these places that they've battled, I guess Wonder Woman has had some sort of epic battle there before, or it's all sort of tied to her somehow. And once they get this information, you know, I think Wonder Woman's got the upper hand, and I don't know if she kind of gets to one of these battles there before the enemy does. And then it turns out this enemy of of pure energy seems to be the cost of the magic that Wonder Woman does. So it's an interesting story. It sort of gave me vibes of this God of Hammer stuff, though, you know.
Yeah,
but and I wasn't a big fan of that, but you know, I'll give him a bit more room here. We'll see how this one goes.
Well,
but, you know,
I was gonna say, well, the nice thing is that this is only like a 2-issue story that they're telling here
Yeah.
as well, right? So I mean, and you got the guest artist on this issues as well, Matthias Bergara, which I usually like his stuff, but I don't know. This was very loose or very thin pencil work. I don't know. Some of the stuff I liked in this issue, but then other panels I didn't quite like of his here. It just looked a little, I don't know what it is, too loose, or just like his style of his art. I feel like his art has gotten different over time, and which is sometimes the case with comic artists. I feel like I used to like his stuff a lot more. On this, it was okay, but again, yeah, I'm looking forward to see where this story goes as well. It's only like a 2-issue arc in between, I guess, the Zatanna thing and whatever's going on with the Batman stuff. I don't know.
How can you give us freaking Zatanna at the end and then freaking just drop us off somewhere else?
That's true. What'd you give this?
I'll give it 3.75.
Yeah, agreed. Then Fantastic Four number 4.
That was a nice one and done issue. I've been really following. I think I've been reading the Fantastic Four, but anyways, this, you know, it doesn't have any sort of continuation from the previous ones. I think this has nothing to do with the Doom. I think they had a lot of One World Under Doom stuff in the previous issues. And this one here, I don't know, somebody brings home a new pet. I don't know who it was. It was Reed. I don't think it was Reed, or was it Ben? Anyways, and everybody loves this new pet except Alicia. You know, the first time she feels it, it feels kind of ooky, and you kind of wondering what's going on. And then, you know, the next panel over, it'd be a dog or something like that. But she can't shake this feeling that this new pet is something that it isn't. And you know, you kind of see panels where it is a freaking giant, I don't know, some alien monster full of tentacles, and you know, that kind of threw me for a loop. Is like, is this what everybody's seeing, or is this what's really happening? And she goes, you know, with Alicia, kind of, I think that monster almost reaches out to her and says, "Hey, you know, freaking cut this shit out. Don't be trying to do anything." And you know, that kind of piques, I guess, Alicia's curiosity more. And then she goes down to talk to Reed. Of course, Reed is up, working on some gizmo, and she kind of asks him, about some questions about what she's been feeling, kind of in a scientific way. And he kind of, he sciences his way out of it, which is if what they say is true. I don't know where this Ryan North comes up with all this stuff. This is like the
Yeah.
writers. This is like the writers of The Big Bang Theory. Like when they were talking about the science on the show,
I
the science was freaking.
I
It
I
was
might
on point.
I
And
might
this, this sounds real to me.
I might be wrong about this, but I heard that he has a PhD in something. Like he is a smart, like, because I agree with you. I don't know where he gets the ideas for half of this stuff too, but it's clearly a writer who knows what the hell he's talking
Yeah, like this
about.
is like I don't think he researched this science. This is science he knew that he's bringing
Yeah,
to the comics. It's not science he's learning because of the comic. But
yeah,
basically, it's like your eye fills in everything that was supposed to be, and then since she's blind, she doesn't. I forget what they call it, but she wouldn't have that sort of same,
right.
uh, same direction that everybody else does. And then she kind of okay, that's good, and she goes to sleep. Then of course, Reed being Reed, he tries to kind of put it away and go back to work, whatever he's doing. But then he's kind of thinking to himself, oh, it'd be odd that Alicia kind of asked this question out of nowhere. And just the path that he follows to end up making this device that would kind of make you see the world as it is and not let your mind sort of fill stuff in for you. I thought that was an interesting run. It's like, oh, if if she's coming to me with this question now, it has to be something that happened recently. What happened recently? That's weird. It's like, oh, this dog that came in or whatever. Anyways, you got to read it to find out what's happening. But he makes some sort of gizmo that allows you to see the world as it is. And then they realize that there's this dog they have is some alien being that's trying to take them over. And then he somehow powers it up to the grid. And it seems like this is happening all over the world. And then, once these aliens figure that they've been found out, they sort of go, hey, let's get out of here, let's retreat. And then it goes on like into like a freaking cosmic sort of level,
Yeah,
where there's some world that Reed was following, and the life just seemed to be snuffed out of that, and that sort of translates what these guys were doing. And it's sort of a gentle warfare of how these aliens take over worlds, not through violence or anything. They just kind of infiltrate themselves in there when they're ready to pull the plug. They I think they call them like more like butchers or abattoirs instead of warriors.
mm-hmm.
They just infiltrate the planet and kill everybody, and then they're happy. So, and of course, Reed or the Fantastic Four and Alicia, they sent them on their way. So,
Yeah.
yay for us.
Just to follow up on what I said, he does not have a PhD according to Google AI, but he he has earned a master's degree in computational linguistics from University of Toronto. So he does like computer programming type stuff. I guess he used to. And he says his research-based books, he uses his master's level knowledge and extensive research to provide factual science-based information in his nonfiction books. He's written things called like such as How to Invent Everything. He creates this impression of an advanced degree, but he is known for jokingly describing himself as the mad scientist he once dreamed of becoming. So there you go, a little bit of background on Ryan North there and how he, I guess, cooks up this stuff in his comics. But yeah, he's definitely a smart dude because computer programmer. That's what he used to be before a writer full time. So yeah. No, well told there about what happened in the issue, and it was another good one and done. Honestly, it's good stuff. What'd you give this?
I'll give it a 4. Now that I talked about it, I was going to give it a 3.75. It's interesting stuff. I don't know if it makes for a great comic though.
That's fair. Yeah, I almost want to give it a 4 too, because I was thinking about 3.75 out of 5 too. But the fact that it was such an impressively well written one and done. Yeah, you make a good point. I'll give it. Yeah, it's definitely things I wouldn't ever thought about or thought that.
Yeah, it sort of tracks, and it's not like crazy science. You know what I mean?
No, it's not like Justice League Mark Waid science or something.
Yeah, it's not like Johnny Storm was sleeping with that alien or whatever back in a few issues. But
Predator Kills the Marvel Universe #3.
I might have to run through this one. I did read it. I'm pretty sure about that. Oh, this was that
X-Men.
Predator. Who does he go after? I think he goes after Wolverine in this one.
Wolverine, yeah.
Oh, and on the one with the Hulk, yeah. This I don't know. When I read this one, this is it was like a movie. It seemed like I just read this in like 2 minutes. But
Yes.
I thought the action was great. The stuff with the Hulk. And, I thought the Hulk's gonna freaking just, he rips one of those guys apart. That's when you're talking about those anthropomorphic sort of
Yeah.
characters where they can tear them apart. Maybe they can do that with aliens too, and it's not so bad. You figure that would have to be in Red Band or something. But anyway, the Hulk starts taking care of business on all those guys there. And then, of course, what's his name? Craven has some sort of, I don't know, that vibranium technology with a gamma gun that just sucks the gamma radiation out of him. I don't know if that's possible. Like, if it was, I'm sure somebody else would have done it by now. But anyways, it works, and the Hulk freaking shrinks down. And I think he kills him at the end.
It looks like
And,
it, yeah.
and it's kind of, I think Bruce Banner had some words for him at the end, but then it goes on to Wolverine. And then here I thought, oh, they're going to freaking kind of tie in. At least Wolverine knows about predators because they're the Predator and Wolverine. So I thought he might kind of fucking sense them or something. And he's on his way back to the mansion, and freaking that mansion is trashed.
How about the scene where Professor X is
that's right. Every Professor X on the wheelchair just freaking wheeled out the front door. And then as the narration is, this mansion, this has been my family, and if this is my family, then Professor X would have to be my father. And then you see him freaking wheeled out, freaking burning.
I thought that was pretty brutal because the whole panel, he's like a fire.
Yeah. Like we had a scary movie or something, or not another teen movie. He's like, And then you got this. It looks like a predator. I don't think that's a predator. That's got to be Craven underneath the mask or something. But
no, I think it is a predator. I think it's the predator using the because he's been collecting like all these metals, right? Like the vibranium and the Mantium or whatever. I think he literally has fashioned a armor for himself or something to fight against Wolverine. Because you got to remember, he's already fought Wolverine. If it's the same
they know about him too.
Yeah,
and everybody seems to want his skeleton as a trophy. So I don't know how this one ended. I think they're going to still battle on, right? There was no clear cut finish to this, right?
No. I think there's still a couple more issues, and they messed with Avengers Tower got blown up. It looks like, and people.
They send out the drones. How does this happen? You never hear anything about freaking drones, and after Mr. Terrific freaking sends out all those freaking drone balls to get rid of things, now these guys send out drones to freaking blow up the world. I just hate those coincidences. Still a good part of the story. And I did like how they kind of just let us know that Iron Man, Spider-Man, and there's somebody else. They're still in the mix.
Yeah.
And then you have Invisible Woman. Looks like she's up on the moon there, kind of invisibling herself around. And it's like we have some hope at least after they destroy the world.
Yeah, I had fun with this. It was fun. I mean, it's like you said, like I think that's where Benjamin Percy, that's like in his wheelhouse. He excels at. If it feels like an action movie and you read it in 2 minutes, that's kind of like what his writing is. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't.
Yeah, when it's good, it's good. When it's bad, it's
it falls flat. Yeah, this was fun. What'd you get?
I guess 3.75.
3.75. Yeah. Then we got the Ultimate 17.
Unfortunately, I dropped off on this book when they just started going off trying to talk about new characters. The good thing about this issue, they're back in sort of this Ultimate world where it's following the sort of the mainline story. And I think they did this before when Phil Noto was drawing.
Yes.
Like maybe the top two panels might be one timeline, the middle panel or the third panel might be another. And then the fourth panel, I think, was the present.
Yep. They did it. You're right. They did it before the last time they kind of took this approach with him. It actually felt like an issue from when the series was still good in that sense.
Yeah, exactly. I think those filler issues in the beginning or like those last 3 or 4 issues just been filler issues, which they should never have done. But anyways, we're back in here. And so you get some history of Mr. Fantastic, or Doom as they like to call himself. Or no, this was when he's Reed Richards, and the maker was kind of just taking him or just making him his slave. And the middle story was, I guess, Doom trying to, I think he's using cosmic rays to try turn everybody, I guess, in a different timeline to try and turn everybody into the Fantastic Four to try and fight the Maker. And then the bottom panel was basically the present time where Doom is telling Tony Stark that I might not be, I can't be part of this anymore because I've realized that, the Maker is me. And if he's me, he's an advanced version of me. He's seen everything I could do.
Right.
And I did like, what whatever Iron Lad or whatever he is. I guess he's got a whole bunch of drones of his own out there with the Iron Man suit. I goes, I'm fighting like 15 people right now, but I can talk to you about this. It almost sounded like he was fighting the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles somewhere.
Yeah.
Because I got 4 teenagers against me right now. One of them just spit on me. But anyways, the story it's a bit tough to follow.
Yes.
And I think with whatever, in one of the storylines, the Maker kind of pulled out a piece of Reed Richards' brain, the one that sort of gives him satisfaction of a job well done or something, and he thought that'd be a great punishment for him. And the middle story is where he's trying to get those Fantastic Four people, and with this, I guess he realizes that there was a Fantastic Four in the 616. He kind of gets a vision of that or something, and he realizes that's what he's missing, and that's what he's trying to chase.
Yeah.
And then somehow his those animals that have been kept on dying, he's kind of got them in the stable, and the true Fantastic Four powers where, one mouse was stretchy, one mouse was invisible, one mouse was rocky, and the other one was on fire. And go, oh, you've gone to stabilizing. What are you going to do? I think you just, I'm going to set them free. I know what that's about. And I think the last one is just the Iron Lads trying to say, hey, you do what you got to do. But, I think the one good line out of this was, with you, I don't know if this plan would work. I know definitely without you, this plan will not work. So
right.
Let's see what goes from here.
Yeah, I mean, you hit on. I feel like the main things I wanted to say was that it was a little hard to follow at times, but to its credit, it did feel like when I did enjoy this book, the last several issues, they've been really spinning its wheels. You could tell they didn't really have a story. They're really dragging their feet on this story until the end of the Ultimate Universe, it seems like. This reminded me of when the series was good before. And you had Phil Noto on art on this issue. So I despite it being a little hard to follow, this one, like I said, this was like, this is an issue I actually enjoyed, which I haven't in a while. So I will say that about it. But yeah, it was a bit confusing, but at least there was, like you said, we've seen them do that kind of approach before with this character. They kind of just went back to the well, but you bring Phil Noto on to draw it. It was a good issue in that sense. So yeah.
If they kind of kept this momentum up throughout the whole run, I'd still be buying this, but
same.
Yeah. I'll give this 3.75 though. It's good comment.
Yeah, 3.75 out of 5. And then finally, Ultimate Spider-Man number 22. 2 more issues to go, Chris.
Man alive.
Yeah.
If I did not know like the trajectory of this comic, I would be thinking this freaking comic is awesome again. Like this, just the crumbs that are being freaking left out there all over the place. It's insane. Like you got freaking in the beginning of that, the Spider-Man character sort of freaking roaming around. At one point, you think it's like the kid being Venom. Another point, you think it's just Peter Parker. And then he freaking, they're living down in the sewers somewhere, and fucking takes it off, and it's freaking Otto. And then I think you could almost read into it there a bit. What he says, they throw out that word superior every once in a while.
Yeah.
That was great stuff, and I think he's just picking up some Chinese food from the the surface world now that they're living underground. And I think Peter Parker shows up, or the Peter Parker shows up, and they have some sequence there, and then I guess they find that their house is a bit crowded, and like that. They have a bit of a romantic interlude with Peter Parker and Mary Jane. Haven't seen anything like that in ages.
Mm-hmm.
Like if they had time on this issue, like this could have been like a 3-issue spread here, with each one of these stories taking up a whole issue. And then freaking Otto's up to, or the stuff with Harry is he's not taking the death of his wife too well. And I thought it's interesting that, this has been a 3-month jump, not a 1 month. I don't know how that's going to play into things. But, Harry's sort of, not taking the death of his wife too well. And he just kind of wants to stay around and, patrol more, or kind of just take care of things. He didn't want to go back to their underground lair, I guess, to hang out and, be social. And then, like this stuff with what's his kid's name? Ben Parker or something, or Richard?
Yeah.
Freaking Otto he sends him on a fucking crazy mission to go into the Kingpins?
Yeah.
Like, whatever.
Lair.
Headquarters there, lair. What did he want to steal? Like some.
So he has like some sort of like, I think, data on the maker or something like that. I think is like, because I believe that's what it is. Like he's going to steal something. Like he's been learning things about the maker. Otto talks about here, and I guess the Kingpin has something in his possession that relates to that, the world that came before that they had, like before all this shit got reset.
Yeah, and isn't there like J. Jonah Jameson and Ben Parker? They're trying to put out some send out the truth over.
Yeah.
There is so much going on here. Oh, how could they freaking end this? Like that's.
The most disappointing thing too was that article I sent you that was going around from some interview he did where Hickman himself was just like, I'm not the one that decided the end of all this. Like, I don't understand why they're doing it. Like he was literally just like, I was surprised when they told me that.
Yeah, it's like, well, when I planned this, I knew my story was going to end, but I didn't think they were going to end the whole world. You've asked me to write this universe for you.
Right.
And, from what you understand with everything else he's been doing, like he's supposed to be the architect to freaking make the tree and everybody can, freaking jump off a branch. And here, I think this is the best tree he made. And fucking, they're just going to chop it down.
I know.
But anyway, still, and then, of course, at the end, you find out freaking Mysterio's not really dead. I don't know what's going on with that. It's just crazy business all around. I don't know. Good stuff.
Great issue, and so many balls in the air at the same time of plots that it seems like he's wrapping everything up beautifully still. Like I don't know if he's going to be able to wrap everything up in 2 more issues. I guess we'll see, but the pacing has been great throughout this series. One of the best things I've read by Hickman in a long time, and we've always championed this book on the show, and I'm going to be sad to see it go. On one hand, Chris, I'm like, things can't be great forever, and I'm glad that we got our time with this book as good as it's been throughout these couple of years of us reading it. So I'm happy in one regard, like that it's going to end on such a good note, and we can sit here and be like, yeah, this is a great series. But then at the same time, like you said, they've laid all this great groundwork where they're just never going to follow up on any of this stuff now, right?
Yeah, like I'm sure there's some writer, as long as I don't get freaking some cheesy ass. I just hope they put a pin in it and they don't kill it. If they put a pin in this, and then when whoever knows, there might be some big writer out there goes, hey, I'm ready to take this world. Maybe they're saving this for freaking for Donny Cates. He goes, this is the world I wanted to build. I wanted to freaking build. You like I say, you set the tree up.
Yeah,
I'm gonna take it. I'm gonna take my branch off here, and we can see where it goes. But anyways, great stuff. 4.25. I want to give him more, but just that news kills me.
Yeah, 4.25 as well. I could go almost to 4.5 on this one though, just because of how much I love the book. But
just from talking about how every page, maybe not every page, but every sort of thread was an important thread. There's not like some baloney story, running around in the background.
Yeah, great stuff.
The more I talk about it, the more I like this. I didn't even like it when I started here.
I quickly just want to show off. I didn't talk about Harley Quinn this week, but I got a couple of covers for this. This David Nakayama one of her in the prison outfit, not my favorite of his covers. It's very plain. I like his covers for the series a lot though, but I did want to show this one off. I did want to show this one off though. This is the pumpkin spicy variant cover by Frank Cho.
Put that full screen.
Yeah, hold on. Here, let me take it out of the bag here. Nice one here.
Oh, how did I miss that one? It's nice.
Yeah, it's like a Halloween cover, so I wanted to kind of show it off. It is spooky season there, so that's a really nice one. But yeah, that's it for the books we want to talk about this week, guys. Chris, what are you looking forward to checking out next week?
I think you better go ahead, John, on your side again. I
Okay,
tried to not go collect, and I don't know. It wasn't so easy to maneuver through.
I'll have to start sending you the link to the list every episode then, if that's easy.
But it's just on my tablet that I can't get it. On my phone, I can get it.
Okay.
My tablet doesn't need to be picking everything up.
So what do we got next week? It's a smaller week because it's the 5th week of comics in October, and that's going to be for October 30th. No, is it 29? October 29.
Yeah.
We'll be talking about next week. So I got Emma Frost, White Queen, number 5, Black Cat, number 3.
Yep.
Absolute Batman Annual, number 1.
Yep.
The last issue of Imperial, that's finally coming out.
Yeah.
Then we got some of the X-Men tie-ins. We got Cloak or Dagger. I'll be picking that up, that Ivan Talavera cover. And we also got, for the X tie-ins, we got a few more here next week. We got Expatriate X-Men, Undead Pool, and X-Vengers, which we'll probably be talking about. At least I will, just because it's a light week. So I'll definitely be, we've been reading all of the first issues anyways. Yeah. There's a Superman Red and Blue special, and also the wrap-up of the Runaways miniseries, and the wrap-up of Batman and Robin Year 1 next week as well. And I guess you're reading Thor. That comes out next week as well, too. Yeah, so that, there you go. Much smaller week in comparison, at least half the amount of books we talked about tonight. There's a lot tonight. So I went a little bit long here, but that's good. It was a, you know what? I honestly wasn't so sure. It was kind of a mixed bag of books this week, but I did enjoy the conversation as always. So I think there were some good highlights here this week still.
Well, I'm a little more encouraged by these X books now after this week's batch.
Yes.
And who knows? Maybe those X Avengers will be something. The ones I've seemed to have the lowest hope for been seen better than the ones I've had the highest hopes for.
Very much so.
I have low hopes for everything else that was coming out next week. So let's hope the trend continues.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so that's it for what we're looking forward to read next week here. That's again October 29th. Make sure to check us out once again every week here. And your favorite book of the week, Chris?
Ooh. I thought it was going to be easy, but I think it's tougher now. I'll tell you what's in the running. Definitely Ultimate Spider-Man's in the running. Sisterhood might even be in the running. Definitely Exquisite Corpses. I'd hate to say The Lost Wolverine was in the running. If it was low. If it was a smaller week, it'd have to be a really small week for that one to win. But I'm going to go with The Corpses. I love that one.
That's also what I'm going with. Great. It really was a great issue. My only competition on this one, it was between two books. It was between Exquisite Corpses number 6 and Ultimate Spider-Man 22. But I got to give the nod to this edged it out. Exquisite Corpses number 6. So good week though. Not a bad week. And that's there you go. We both got the same favorite book of the week there. And we're only halfway through the first season. And from my understanding, there's going to be more seasons. I don't know if they've officially announced that, but this is a popular book, and the way that they kind of are going about it, it's in the works, I'm sure.
And then now that you know the characters more too, like, I think they did touch on that rabbit sort of character. She was kind of floating around in the back.
Yeah.
And like even some of the locals there, they're kind of catching on that something bad is happening, and they freaking lit up the town too to kind of, it's almost like Fortnite where they're going to close the circle on them. So good stuff all around.
Yeah, absolutely. Good stuff. All right, that's going to do it for this week of comics. Make sure to like and subscribe and check us out every week here on Comic Shop Talk. Thank you to Chris as always, and we'll catch you guys next time. Thank you.
All right, take it easy.
Later.